Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty.
Welcome to the Not Playing Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley.
And
Will.
Alright, yeah, so since we last recorded, we've had a lot of Xbox events, Ubisoft events, PlayStation events, lots of news.
And
so
Nintendo.
we'll start... Was there?
Yeah,
oh, I don't
a little
know.
bit.
Okay, so the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox now have release dates and prices.
The Xbox Series.
The Series X, not the One X, which some people bought instead.
This naming convention is bonkers, though, isn't it? Because it was the Xbox One, which then had S and X variances, and all I can tell, which isn't clear, is this is the Xbox Series, which has S and X variances, and potentially a V, which I think is still the secret X, but without a disc drive one, from what I'm hearing.
Ooh.
Yeah. God, yeah, it is pretty confusing. But yeah, it's out. They're both out kind of November-y time, aren't they? I think it's November the 12th in the States and November the 19th over here.
That's right, for the PlayStation, and I think the Xbox is 12th in
Xbox is
UK.
10th in the US, and I don't know about the UK actually.
Yeah, well, they're both out around then.
Yeah, I think it might be 10th worldwide, maybe.
Yeah, so is Cyberpunk, so is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
There we go.
I think Watch Dogs is out a bit before then. And of course the PlayStation launches with the Spider-Man Miles Morales, and also a remaster of the original Spider-Man, which I found even more confusing. But
only
anyway.
if you buy it
It's
on
to
PS5.
give you value for the game, isn't it? So it's kind of like adding an extra reason to buy it because the game's going to cost so much.
No, it's a separate game.
I thought it came with it.
I think, from what I've read, and this is the message is confusing, but my understanding is if you buy essentially the deluxe version of Miles Morales for a slightly greater amount of money, you get the remaster of Spider-Man with it. Because if you've already played it on the PS4, you might not want to pay full $1 to have a remaster of a game that you've already platinumed this year, in my case.
Yeah. Well, I certainly got my money's worth, and I played all the DLCs as well. And then we had the other news that Microsoft have bought Bethesda, which has now complicated the entire value proposition and made the Xbox actually quite a good proposition.
I must admit, to me, I mean, I've played the Bethesda back catalogue that I'm interested in, but I'm interested in their future catalogue. When we start talking Elder Scrolls, when we start talking Starfield, and also things I haven't picked up on yet, like Doom Eternal, etc. When you suddenly start looking at all of the other stuff they put out outside of the Bethesda game studios, you know, whatever Arcane are working on Deathloop, that's coming multi-platform. But when we see what the output will be in maybe 2 years' time, Jesus, if that stuff comes straight to Game Pass, even if it's available on the PlayStation, if the Xbox load times are acceptable and I'm paying a small amount per month and getting Bethesda's output without paying any extra, that is really interesting.
Well, yeah, like you say, potentially we're getting we're getting Starfield, which we haven't seen much about. Another Doom game, another Fallout game, potentially down the line. That's going to be possibly an Xbox exclusive, or PC as well. Elder Scrolls Wolfenstein as well. Dishonored, if they ever come back to that.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one to consider later on. It's just my allegiance will always be with PlayStation for the exclusives, and there's just so much coming out around the launch that I just can't really fit in my head anything else at the moment.
Yeah.
Except obviously, I mean, you're going to have to pay through the nose, but I doubt those Ubisoft games are going to be on Game Pass, are they?
The Ubisoft ones, no, I wouldn't expect them to, or at least not immediately. They may put the older ones, but Ubisoft will take their money. There's no deals that we know of yet, and I don't think even Microsoft can afford Ubisoft.
No, I know they've got their own thing,
Yeah.
but I don't think they were putting their brand new games on it. It's more of a back catalogue thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But it's
All
worth
right.
mentioning, actually, that Microsoft picked up EA Access and have bundled that into Game Pass, which was being sold as a separate thing, but now you've got the EA games available within Game Pass, which is just increases that range. It's if you look, so we are passionate gamers and we try and play the latest stuff and all of that, but if you look at your standard use case of Christmas present for little Jimmy, and if you buy him the PlayStation, you know you're going to have to spend 50 quid on this game and that, or you can just have a Netflix style subscription if you get him the Xbox, and he's got all the games and it's all the same games as his mates have got. Jesus Christ, that's attractive.
Yeah, no, it is definitely an amazing value proposition. I think PlayStation are always kind of a bit more of a Rolls Royce sort of premium sort of game experience, and that's ultimately they're the kinds of games that I play. I don't tend to play a lot of the your B and C games. I just don't have the time. Although I don't know, even now we're in sort of semi lockdown, I am finding it a bit more difficult to find time for gaming just because people are around and I'm going out a bit more and I'm going to the gym more and stuff like that. So I do still have much more time to game, but I still don't know if that kind of big Netflix type thing is really something I need right now.
I understand that completely. I like having a game that I can lose myself in and thoroughly enjoy, but that doesn't mean I'm desperate to find a game in which I can do that.
Yeah.
If a game comes out and it really excites me, brilliant, I'll love it and I'll have a lovely time. And then I can go a couple of months without really getting my teeth into anything.
What this says to me, though, is that they're basically turning the door, they're shutting the door on Stadia. I know it kind of stuttered.
Oh, Christ, yeah,
failed,
Stadia.
But they've literally closed that door now. They said there's no point. We've basically presented you with an easy-to-use PC in a box that you don't need to upgrade. You've got access to all the same games that will come out on PC, and you know what the pricing is for everything. And all you need to do, they've basically done an Apple. They've created an eco-structure, and that basically works. And you just rock up, say, I'm going to pay this, and you're going to get this, and this, and this, and this, and you won't leave. You probably grab another console, but you won't leave that.
I think Xbox Series S even has like a subscription model type thing attached to it where you don't even have to pay up front for the console. At least in the States, I think that's the plan.
Yeah, they're doing a kind of a credit sort of thing as well, so you don't even need to fork out the initial overlay, which is mental. They're really going hard into this. It's kind of crazy. I'm curious where it leads.
That's it. Sorry. So a couple of things. Mentioning the Stadia thing, and actually, this is moving towards killing Stadia from the Microsoft perspective, but it's Project xCloud, which is going to be the streaming version of it, which is that step towards, except Microsoft, because xCloud actually sounded a bit too clear and a bit too good, is being renamed. Have you heard about this?
Oh, I haven't heard of it, no.
I had to Google the name. Because Microsoft have done their wonderful thing of creating...
Extradia?
No, it's Project xCloud is being renamed Cloud Gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
Oh, cool.
I see.
Because
catchy.
it was, xCloud, it wasn't really catchy, easy to remember, but Cloud Gaming with Xbox Cloud Pass, oh, fuck's sake, I can't even say it.
I like it.
It's just got to have the Game Pass in it. They want that to be as synonymous as Netflix, don't they?
Yeah, they're trying to build that brand.
Call it xCloud Game Pass.
Yeah.
xCloud was actually quite cool. It was Xbox cloud-based gaming. It was so fucking obvious, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Cloud gaming is a bit more descriptive of what it is, though, I suppose.
They want it more vague so they can tweak it. I think that's the...
So you're saying that you think Microsoft take a clear, descriptive approach to their naming conventions, Rob? Is this where we're going with this? Is it? Is it now?
No, definitely not. No, not with the amount of Xbox One X's that accidentally got bought.
Oh, that was a fascinating one. So they're saying that since the Xbox Series X pre-orders went live, Xbox One X sales have gone through the roof, and a theory on that, because Sony don't even make the One X anymore, and the theory there is because, frankly, slightly confused parents have been told they want an Xbox X.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's basically your nan's gone, oh, he wants an Xbox. That looks like it. It's a dark machine.
Oh.
We'll go with that one.
And little Jimmy will be telling Nana to go fuck herself this Christmas.
Yep.
I wonder if they they stuck with the the Series X, hoping they might be able to shift a load of Xbox One X's that never got bought.
Now, you see, Series is actually short, but are you really fucking serious?
Are you assuming that they're smart enough, that's a marketing ploy they would have done? I really think that someone must have said that as a joke. You know,
they might have gone, fuck, we've got this gigantic warehouse full of Xboxes, we need to get rid of them. Let's confuse the public with our naming conventions and see what happens.
Let's purchase the Xbox Man You Cannot Be Serious.
Also known as the McEnroe.
Indeed.
But I don't know. I mean,
sorry, I enjoyed that too much.
Yeah, but as mad as it all is, I'm curious because they've got something like Bethesda under their belt now. Potentially any new IP, and obviously they're not going to, I mean, we've already sworn, they're not going to fuck it up or be allowed to fuck it up like Fallout 76. Because that pretty much, everyone just, you know what, I'm out, fuck that. That was kind of, you know, a lot of people turned away at that point saying, you know what, they've lost their shit. They don't know what they're doing anymore.
It probably devalued Bethesda enough for Microsoft to be able to afford them.
Exactly. But they're not going to be allowed to do anything like that anymore.
Well,
yeah. In terms of exclusivity, though, I don't see like any future Bethesda games not coming out on PlayStation.
I agree.
The last time they shelled out this much was for like Minecraft, and that's on everything.
But Minecraft was already available on PlayStation. What we have here is, for example, the Elder Scrolls. Now, if Sony want to sell the Elder Scrolls, they can pay Microsoft a fee, because Microsoft are actually just interested in a fee. They don't care if they sell it on the PlayStation and take a wedge of it, or on the Xbox. They want to sell that game that they're producing. I think they're more interested in selling it on Xbox, but I think they will let Sony play the game.
Traditionally, though, the first party normally takes a cut of whatever a publisher wants to put on there.
Oh yeah,
but I think I still think it'll work that way around. But the thing is, what Microsoft have got, as we've said already, is Game Pass, and people might go, well, fuck me, I'd rather just buy the console and have whatever games come out rather than have to keep ponying up 70 quid.
Yeah,
as seems to be established as the new RRP for next gen games.
Do you remember when SNES games were 60 quid?
Yeah, I remember when Mega Drive
2 was 60 quid.
Yeah, so was Sonic 2.
Yeah.
I believe.
They were all 60 quid and that was fine.
Yeah, games have gotten cheaper over time. If you look at inflation, it's ridiculous.
But it's you're just paying for day one privileges, though. You know, these things will come down.
But that was the thing, they didn't go down in those days. They were still for yonks. I don't remember there being like a, you know, it was only until people started doing things like CEX popped up that you had the PlayStation stuff and the second-hand market turned up.
You're talking about a long time ago now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying...
Even my little independent... Even when I was 14, 15, and I don't want to say how many years ago that was, but the little independent computer game shop in Billericay would take your games as trade-in.
Yeah, actually, that's... Yeah, ignore that. Talking bullshit.
I mean... Nintendo have managed to hang on to the retail value of their games. I know you still struggle to find the latest Zelda for less than 50 quid
The
now.
Switch tax hurts.
But they have sales, you know. They still do sales and you can get it a bit cheaper then. And that's not going to stop. It's just whether you really have to have it day one. If you can wait, then just fucking wait.
That's it. And there are some games for which I cannot wait and will not wait. So, So remind me, what we got coming up in the next release window, Rob? There's some exciting shit there.
Around the launch?
Well, yeah. So coming up in October, I know we've got the Baldur's Gate stuff, and then we've got Watch Dogs 2 coming out.
Watch Dogs 3.
3 even, yes. Watch Dogs 2 is
Legion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's out shortly after. We've also got Star Wars Squadrons coming next Friday.
I'm saving that for VR.
Yeah, well, I already have VR, and this machine that Work sent me has the minimum spec for it, so I'm probably going to be picking that up. I've just got to dig out my HOTAS joysticks.
Yeah, I also think you need to sort of dig out your Jedi outfit as well, mate. If you're going to do it properly.
Well, I've got a lightsaber over there and a droid, so I've got most of the bits I need.
Do it.
Yeah, and then it's all kind of really messy around that launch window of Spider-Man and Demon Souls and Cyberpunk, which I think I'm probably going to end up playing on PC. My plan is, I think I'm just going to see how it works on this PC, and just treat it as like a demo and just do the like Wasteland, starting bit, because then I feel like I don't actually go into the city then until I play it on PS5. I'll just play around in the Wasteland a bit, get a feel for it, have an opinion on it, and play most of my other things on PlayStation 5. So
it's a tricky one. I haven't decided if I'm going to get a new game before my PlayStation. It's going to depend on weather and all sorts of less fun political elements that we won't go into. But I think if I do, I'm kind of tempted. 6th of October, I think it is. That's the day my hot tub turns up, though, so it might not happen. Is the
nice.
Baldur's Gate 3. Sorry, I had to drop that one in. It's the Baldur's Gate 3. If I'm being locked down again, it's going to happen with a hot tub. Baldur's Gate 3 early access comes in. Did I mention I'm getting a hot tub?
Yeah.
Mate, we might be hot tub buddies.
Hey, good man.
Sorry.
I haven't got room for a hot tub now. I've just put loads of furniture out there, and that's taking up most of the space.
Yeah, but not all of it. You could rearrange it around the hot tub, and you've got a centerpiece.
Yeah, you'll know what I mean when you see it.
Oh.
It's quite big.
But so I'm quite interested in Baldur's Gate, and we've got the Assassin's Creed coming out, and I've been hearing not Gods and Monsters, whatever it's called now, because Monster Energy sued Ubisoft to change the name of Gods and Monsters, so it's called something unmemorable.
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Phoenix.
Really?
Phoenix.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, sorry, that looks like Phoenix to me, because I know what Phoenix is spelled like.
I know what you mean. There are multiple spellings. There's the Phoenix and there's the Fenix, and it doesn't really matter. But yes, they had to change it, and rumour has it that Monster Energy drink kind of went, but we have Monsters, we have the Monster brand, and we have accreditation in gaming, and you could definitely argue that Ubisoft probably would have won it through the courts, because it wouldn't be the first game with Monster in it, Marcus. I don't know if you can think of any.
No. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not called
Ubisoft,
Monster Hunter. It's called Relentless Hunter.
It's called Red Bull Hunter.
Woohoo!
But
anyway, Gods and Monsters is also the name of a film starring Ian McKellen from some years back.
Interesting.
That I've never seen.
I forgot about that. I remember hearing about it.
I don't think they had a problem with it though.
Yeah, but I think the point is Ubisoft saw pending litigation with a forthcoming game that they didn't want to potentially have to rebrand, so they took the rebrand on the nose now. Unfortunately, Gods and Monsters was a cracking name because it told you exactly what the game was about. It was the Ronseal of the gaming world, very much like cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
Because
they spent a lot of time on that game at the Ubisoft Forward recently, and I thought it looked fine, but like I've already played that game, and like, you know, it just looked like Zelda mixed with.
Was that the one where she walks up
Odyssey?
she walks up to like the Olympus looking place, and the kind of Minotaur beast runs out, and she twats it over the head with a mystic hammer?
Probably.
Sounds about right.
I vaguely remember that.
What I would say is apparently it's a cross between Odyssey and Zelda.
Yeah,
and I can see that
Clank
making a lot of people quite excited. I'm curious about it. Whether it's a day one for me, because I'm one of those utter troglodytes who didn't get on with the last Zelda iteration. It bored me to shit. But I like Odyssey, and I like Ubisoft games, so
I haven't picked it up in a while, and that's not just because I haven't been commuting.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yawn of the Wild.
I have been playing my Switch a bit, so because I've been out and about a bit, but that I can talk about that later. So there's been a few other game announcements kind of announced or just shown over the course of these various different presentations. I don't know if anyone's got any particular highlights from that. I've got a list here, but I don't feel like I need to go through every single one of them.
What am I excited for particularly? Nothing. It's really depressing. The Sony show was pretty cool. The Miles Morales, I was quite excited when it came out, but it is basically more Spider-Man. Really pretty visual effects, gorgeous stuff on the ray tracing, but it looks like the same game. More of the same is fine, but I did platinum it this year, and it's going to have to be a bit different for me to not feel like it's anything more than an expansion pack.
Yeah, I did find some videos from that Sony presentation that are actually in 4K 60 frames.
I watched them all afterwards.
They're well worth a look, because the Demon Souls one in particular is fucking spectacular. It just looks so slick.
I started tearing up watching the 4K one. On my TV
and Spider-Man looks
as well.
mad as well.
Yeah.
It looks so good. It's like you've got a really high-powered PC. If that's what it's going to be
looks,
like, then yeah.
And it's
I will never buy a new PC ever again.
as well that people don't realise, like the animations. The amount of animations gone into the work, it's the blue light. I don't know what they've done. They've done a deal with the devil to achieve
Be
that.
interesting to see how long they
Microsoft.
actually maintain this this 4K 60 frames standard for, before it all starts to revert to upscaled 30 frames, because they just want to keep chucking things at it.
I've seen
for now,
certain
I'm quite
things
happy with
talking
that.
about that.
Or at least give us the option, reduce the fucking dust and fairy lights and let us have it at 60 frames if we want to.
You say that, but the Devil May Cry 5 one that came out has options. Apparently you can go up to 120 FPS if you then turn down the graphics. So if you have it running at 1080p, it can go up to, I think it's like 1080p up to that point. And then you've got three tiers of settings, basically.
Yeah, that will only work if you have a TV with an HDMI 2.1 output.
Yeah, but that's not their problem. That's yours for not buying the right lead.
Well, yeah, but so you would have to have bought a TV in the last 6 months.
I know, but
mine doesn't have it.
That's the thing. But if you're that concerned about FPS and it's the core of your being, you would do that. It's kind of like the reason why everyone was. It's the reason why everyone was going around saying, my telly must have 60 hertz rather than 50 hertz for all of those games.
Yeah, I'm fine with 60. 60's fine. 60's a luxury on console.
Yeah.
If you really want 120 frames per second, go to the Alienware website.
Play it for a PC.
Go to the Alienware website and buy a PC. Okay. So there were a few games here that I think are worth mentioning. Wasn't really at any of the showcases, but Ghost of Tsushima is coming out with like a co-op mode called Legends, which is rather cool because I finished that game. I actually platinumed that first game. I've actually platinumed.
Platinum Bros. Whoa! Yep, I got that plateau.
Even though, in my experience, I find the whole platinum thing a bit ludicrous. I like doing all the, unlocking all the map, doing all of that. But when it's like, and you have to put these bits of armor on to, represent a character from a game that the developer, worked on before, that's like a bit fucking obscure.
That's the whole point. If you want to do it,
yeah. But when you have to read it on fucking Google, it's just like, really.
Oh, it's the completionist in you, Rob. It's just not there. I haven't managed a single
not to that degree
where I haven't had to resort to the internet because I'm not that talented or relentless. At the end of the day, when it's like, find all of these 10 things and one of them's just hidden like an utter bastard. The hidden altars. Yeah. The hidden altars is a perfect example in Ghost of Tsushima. Because there's nothing in any explanation in the game that you see these little things you need to bow to them, and then this little magical effect takes place for doing nothing than if you get 10 of them, you get a trophy for it. There's no in-game reward or benefit. You go to a river and you bow by this post, and some trout jump in the air, and that's the sign that you've activated a hidden altar. But it's not overly busy work. It's just more that's a cool little hidden thing.
Yeah, if it was like going to take me like another like evening to do those ones, I would have gone fuck that. But the fact that you'd done it was like, oh bollocks, I'm going to do this then, because I'd done almost all of it. I was at like 89%, so I was like, oh fuck it, I'll do it. But anyway, suffice it to say, Ghost of Tsushima held my attention long enough for me to bother with all of that. So the fact that there's another reason to play it, hopefully it will work backwards compatibly on PlayStation 5. I very much hope. I think it should do.
Oh, it will. It absolutely will. I mean, Sony basically announced that anything released I think since July, had to be tested on PS5. And this is Sony releasing it. There is not a chance. But think of those load times, right? We mentioned about the load times on Ghost of Tsushima on PS4.
Oh, God.
You're not going to have time to read anything. It's just going to go bam.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, that's another reason that I platinumed it, because I didn't have to sit there looking at a load screen. I could zip around the map, go from one spot to another, and it wasn't actually any effort, and it was actually quite enjoyable. Which is why I absolutely rinsed that game. So, maybe I'll platinum more in the future if these load times are to be believed.
I'll tell you what, that's going to be a really interesting thing in the next gen. I've said I'm quite interested in the Xbox for what they offer, etc. But I'm going to get spoilt by a PS5 on load times, I think, from everything they're saying. And it'll be quite interesting to understand the load times. You know, you take Valhalla, load times difference between the two consoles. I'll be very interested to understand, because frames per second, resolution, all of that stuff. Look, if it looks pretty on my relatively small 4K monitor, I couldn't care less. But if I have to go and make a cup of tea to fast travel, I'm going to have less patience for that.
Well, there's going to be no subway travel on Miles Morales, is there?
No, that's
because,
it. Well,
by the time he gets on, they start the sequence, it probably would have loaded the next section.
That's the plan.
Well, no, there was. They showed that that was the loading test.
Yeah,
because they actually demoed that. So,
but that was the PS4 version. But the PS5, they're going to throw a lot more work at it, so it's going to have to work harder. That'll be the interesting thing. It's as games get more complicated, are they going to be tougher to load, or you know, as we got to the end of this generation on PlayStation, certainly the last two big games you and I played, Rob, the load times were both exceptionally worthy of mention because they were virtually non-existent. And you could, having come off of things like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, this is what I was expecting of the next gen load times wise. It's mad.
Yeah, I think it's just that extra level of polish with The Last of Us was like, and the way that they organised it, you know, it was kind of open world.
Yeah,
I think it's also putting the effort in, because at this point, almost like the swan song on the machine, you know, you can fine tune your game to get the best out of it. You don't really get much examples of it anymore with consoles, but you get one or two that shine right near the end of a console's life.
Where they
squeeze all of the all of everything out of it, like, you know.
Technically, Ghost of Tsushima was an open world load times masterpiece. There were a lot of things I loved about that game. The swordplay combat was magnificent. I really enjoyed it. I thought the plot was enough to keep me going from point to point. It wasn't a great epic plot, although there was some nice story beats. But the world was thoroughly enjoyable, particularly when I discovered Fox Club. I found that eventually, Well, if you're platinum, then first rule of Fox Club, you must stroke the foxes. There was some real delight in that game, some real nice moments of peace, bit of humour, good plot, good swordplay. I would go back. I did it on hard, but they've introduced a New Game Plus Nightmare difficulty. I quite fancy waiting for the PS5, and if I get a bit of a lull next year, I might go through it on arsehole hard and just see how I get on. I don't need to platinum it. I don't have anything to prove. No. Although, that'll be an interesting one. I wonder if I play it on the PS5, will I get a new set of trophies? Can I double platinum my one disc?
There's your first trophy.
I don't know. It's all in the cloud, really, isn't it? It's probably not going to really care what you're playing it on.
The amazing power of the cloud.
Yeah. I won't bang on about all these games. I just wanted to mention one more, which is called Avowed, and that's by Obsidian. It's going to take place in the Pillars of Eternity universe, so that's quite good.
That looks super cool. Is there crack at an Elder Scrolls, isn't it? Because Microsoft bought a studio and needed that studio to be able to make them an Elder Scrolls. So that's cool. If only they had someone else who could do that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. I tell you what, though, I did read something today saying that because Microsoft have bought Obsidian and Bethesda, a sequel to Fallout New Vegas is now possible.
Hey, but that's the plan.
I was just a moment ahead of you on that, Rob. Holy shit, yes.
Yeah, I thought that might make you happy.
If I have to buy an Xbox to make that happen, I will buy an Xbox. For Fallout New Vegas 2, I am all over that shit. Oh, Christ, yeah. Because commercially, that needs to happen.
Because, there was a publishing issue there, I think.
Yeah, no,
So
there was.
they
There
couldn't do
absolutely
it.
was, yeah.
But if you buy both publishers, mashed together, you get the old one.
Share.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff can happen now. That is quite exciting.
Well, Microsoft's
It's
money,
like-
with Bethesda have been doing their best to be a AAA games company with an elderly creaking engine and just their own investment. You know, they are the publisher, essentially. Well, their game studios, ZeniMax publisher, I never quite worked it out. But with a bit of investment money behind them, like I say, if I can't keep a PC up to scratch, I'll get an Xbox to play that stuff, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'll have to see how it goes. But the thing is, with things remaining as they are, if work is providing the machine here, then I just want to play stuff on my telly, really.
Well, going by the latest totally unfounded rumours, maybe work will be providing you with an Xbox. Who can say?
Yeah, I'll take that with a pinch of salt.
I just want to quickly say, before we jump away from the news, Gotham Knights Suicide Squad, I'm going to keep an eye on those. They're going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be totally amazing. I've seen the playthrough of Gotham Knights. It looks fun. It's co-op Arkham, basically.
And it's from Warner Brothers Montreal, the ones that did Arkham Origins. I want to say Oranges every time. Arkham Origins, which apparently I never played, but was a perfectly respectable game. And I quite like the idea that they're doing an Arkham game, but there's been 4 games with Batman in it. Give someone else a punt. I'm good with this. Now, in the last... Yeah, exactly. But in the last ones, you kind of could do a bit of 2-player challenge room type stuff. You can have someone hop in for certain battles. Now, if it's a single-player game with some co-op options, excuse me, not dissimilar to how Far Cry has been recently, certainly outside of main story missions, you can have someone come in and give you a hand, maybe up to 4 people. That could be a ball.
In Gotham Knights, the entire main story is co-op.
Okay, actually...
I sat through the entire main story is co-op. Someone can jump in and join you.
I'm
not sure how it works with cutscenes, but
I think that could
probably
be fun.
It
was
the
what I sat through and watched.
Start.
It was just it just looked like fun from that perspective, from the
That's
idea
the sort of game I could,
mates gaming. DC Muppets knocking out thugs.
That was all announced at the
working title for it.
That was all announced at the DC event, wasn't it? And they also showed the Suicide Squad game, which is by
that looks like
Rocksteady.
bollocks.
I know, but that looks funny, though. It looks funny.
A lot of people reckon that is, because it's all set in Metropolis, they reckon that's maybe a repurposed Superman game.
When was the last Superman game? Oh, you think they made a Superman game and then that got canned?
Came out,
and they built Metropolis.
Just made him a villain.
To make a Destiny game. How do we make that out of Superman? Well, get rid of Actually, make Superman an enemy.
Yeah, keep all of the animations and all of that physics we built, but chuck in the Suicide Squad, make it a Destiny clone. Give Captain Boomerang a series of guns.
Yeah. All right, then. I think we're almost getting to Monster Hunter time, aren't we?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
here we go.
Monster Hunter update time. Sorry, that's the new jingle.
I was just providing some extra sound effects there.
Brilliant. Well done.
This is a very brief one, actually. Monster Hunter World is finally ending. My marriage is done. I'll tell you what, though. I have enjoyed my time with it because I've essentially lived like an old school PC gamer. I bought a game, I bought an expansion pack, and for each of them, they provided a year's worth of free content and updates.
It's your World of Warcraft, isn't it, dude?
I had more fun with this than I did with Guild Wars, which was my World of Warcraft.
So how much were the
this was your World of Warcraft? And
they were both 40 quid. They were both 40 quid games.
Yeah, so that's like a subscription to World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
That's 10 quid less than a Sony game.
But that's about 4 years. 4 years
More.
worth of game, I think.
Oh, okay, all right. No,
Actually, 4 years?
Quite a bit less.
Is it 4 years?
I don't think you've been playing that 4 years.
No, it's been about 2 years. 2 years.
It might be 4 years since it come out.
It felt like 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's 680 something hours, so...
Well, it certainly
for
feels
80
like
quid.
you've been talking about it for years.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they gave the final update, released one more monster from it. The last monster they've released is actually the first end boss from the first ever Monster Hunter game. So
Has it been found?
Yeah, they found it.
Sorry.
Been found wanting. But yeah, no, they've decided to round it off. The plan was for each of them, they were going to deliver a year's worth of extra content. There's a nice little video they did for the last developer update where they thanked all the fans, and it was like a nice little montage, and it went through all of the updates, and you kind of realise just how much extra work they've put into this game.
So how long till they
almost
announce?
Unheard of.
How long till they announce Monster Hunter Universe?
I thought in this Sony thing they were going to announce Monster Hunter World 2. I thought they were going to do that for PS5, but they haven't. They've announced a new one for the Switch, Monster Hunter World Rise.
Oh, I heard about this. It's kind of a slightly lighter weight version for playing on the go.
Yeah, what they've done, because Monster Hunter World basically blew up massively on the PSP. It came out for the PS2, I think, originally, and then on the PSP, you allowed people to play multiplayer.
Right.
And, local multiplayer, local wireless, whatever, and that's where the game massively took off. Sony don't necessarily have their own... They've still got the PSP, and they still half support the Vita. There's still odd bits coming out in Japan.
Is
not
Monster
in the rest
Hunter
of the
World a
world.
Sony exclusive? Genuine question, I don't know.
It was only a Sony exclusive previously.
Oh, okay, so the Monster Hunter series
Yeah,
but
yes,
Monster
yes.
Hunter World went
Monster
multi-platform.
Hunter World is multi-platform.
Okay, cool.
Xbox, PC, and thing, but it isn't crossplay, unfortunately. But in Rise, it's on the Switch, so it's a Switch exclusive. Because I think they're going for the whole handheld market again, and rather than having their own sort of, Sony platform to play on, they've gone, well, Nintendo's been working on one, and it's doing quite well.
Yeah.
We'll use that. Also, because they used to have a couple of Monster Hunter games out for the Wii U. The last couple of ones were out on the Wii U, so I think that kind of became the platform. It's
They're
kind
an
of weird,
independent
isn't it?
publisher. They're allowed to.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I know.
If they want to see other publishers, as long as it's all amicable.
But in this one, basically, the mobility's been increased a lot. You essentially are more like Spider-Man, in which you can sort of swing around the map a lot more and stuff, and you've got a lot more speed and mobility than previous ones. You've also got, because of the cats have always been the thing of the series, you have like a cat companion. In Monster Hunter World, you could jump on the back of certain animals and they would take you around various maps. And they've taken that mechanic and they've now put it so you've now got a dog companion, dog stroke wolf. And you can choose to have one of each or two dogs, and they both attack with you.
My dog's turning into a wolf.
Susan's already pre-ordered this.
No, my
she's
dog
waiting
bit
for
a
the physical
delivery man
copy.
the other day. I feel very bad. Not as bad as he
dear.
felt. He'd had his leg bitten. But anyway, sorry.
But yeah, no. I mean, annoyingly, when I showed Suze the trailer, her eyes lit up like proper anime, sparkly eyes.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not buying another Switch.
Oh, God.
You know what, Marcus? You're going to have to play some other games, aren't you, once this final
I am.
dalliance is done?
I'm looking... Well, that's the thing. There's still, if you can believe it, there's still a hell of a lot of content I've still not played yet in Monster Hunter World.
I
For
can
first
believe
of
it.
all sake, I can believe it, but your
There is-
pile
there
of
is-
shame is becoming a true pile of shame, dude.
No, I mean, even in this game,
Just
there
an
is still,
infinite
there is
black
still
hole.
a hell of a lot of quests I've not done.
I would have doubt that for a moment. You just love it, don't you?
It's
your
the
happy
first
place.
game that's brought me back in. And I'm now going to go back and I'm going to take what I've learned and I'm going to show those other games what the fuck is all about.
I'm going to apply it
So
hard.
I'm going to switch on my Xbox, blow out the cobwebs, finish DMC5,
Yep.
and I'm going to get back into
Final Fantasy 7?
Yep, remake. I'm going to finish that, finally.
Do it.
I
Do it.
might even look online and see what I need to do to platinum, and it might be my first platinum. And then I'm going to go on to others, and I'm going to tackle all of the games that I should have played years ago.
You do this, Marcus.
But
Yeah, you
I
go,
don't
girl.
have to fork out 500 quid for a new console now.
It's a fair
So
point.
by the time
I
you
played all
guys
the
have
games I want
recovered
to play and then
financially
wait for
from
the
your
new ones.
PlayStation, yeah. But yeah.
All right.
I'm
Point
looking-
taken.
I'm
Can we
looking
move
forward
on?
to it. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
But that's
other
pretty much it.
games. Other games we have played. Wasteland 3.
Okay, Wasteland 3. Now I picked up Game Pass for PC because it was £1. They've now just gone, oh, you paid £1. It's going to be more now because that's ridiculous. But it gave me a chance at Wasteland 3, which I found to be a thoroughly enjoyable game. I made the mistake of playing it on too easy a setting and I didn't get bored even, but I took a wrong turn on the map, and what I didn't realise is, so I finished the early game bit on the first stage of the map, and then I went off, and it was kind of like, you finish the first bit, and he goes, right, now go and pacify these 3 towns. We recommend you do this one first, then this one, because the difficulty spikes. I got lost, and I turned up and I cleared out one of those places, and I found out it was the medium difficulty one, because I was playing the game on too easy a setting. And then I couldn't quite be bothered to go and clear out the easy one. And I didn't want to raise the difficulty setting based on my current build, because then I'd have a horribly rude awakening. So I stopped playing. And I think I'd like to play it again, but I shall wait. And it's good. It's the first game in ages that has made me genuinely laugh out loud from some of the ridiculous and absurd and appallingly bad humour. Bad in a good way. I mean, this has been written by fathers, this game, in my opinion. Wow. It's full of appalling dad jokes, many of which are in the worst possible taste. The combat's great, XCOM style, probably not as in-depth as XCOM, but you get to choose your weapon sets for the individuals and the armour.
Oh,
and
no,
the perks
I'd say
actually, maybe more, it's Divinity level, but with guns.
You've got a lot more toys to play with than what I can remember. And this is, and in XCOM, you've got limited customization on your group, and you're very much, here's a mission. It's quite a limited map. Back to the base.
Yes.
Do some upgrades, then back out again in a different sort of setting. This is much more of a proper RPG. It's specific zones. They're not massive maps or nothing, but there's a story to it. The characters, they're quite relatable. There is a base of sorts. I haven't done too much of that yet. I've just kind of done the first few missions really.
Yeah.
And I've got to the nightclub, and I'm trying to get my way round the back of that.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's various ways you can solve that mission. So to give an example, I've just remembered we had a chat when I started doing it. So you can pick your character traits as you build out your characters. One of them, you can pick your background, and one of your background options, for example, a bookworm, desert cat, disciple of the metal, explodomaniac, goat killer, etc., etc. Mopey poet is one of them. But goat killer, which I picked, just said the description is goat killer. Nobody believes you, but you know what you saw. A giant red goat standing over your mother's body, freaky golden eyes glittering in the night. Goats aren't normal, just listen to them. You're going to kill every goat you can. Draw out that monster goat, and this time you'll be ready. Bleat, bleat, motherfucker. Critical chance, plus 5%. Now, this is my kind of game, right?
Brilliant.
It's
there's also
absurd.
one of the skills is toaster repair.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're like little treasure chests, but in the form of toasters, and you find great loot in them, so it's worth having one of your party skilled in toaster repair. The frozen ferret launcher. If you take the weird science skills, which is a weapon,
I've got that.
The frozen
My main
ferret
dude's got that.
It literally fires frozen ferrets at people, and when the frozen ferret hits them, and it is a ferret that is frozen, it freezes the targets. And yet you can have rifles and machine guns and flamethrowers and all sorts of weird shit. And it's XCOM style combat, as we say. And it's your classic, up to 6 in the party RPG, recruit companions, chat with them. It's fun. It's genuinely fun. And if you've got Game Pass, you have no excuse to not play it. Right?
That massively lowered the barrier to entry for me, because I was thinking, I don't really want a big game. And then I was just like, I'm not really doing much today, and just spent £4 and
The other point I would make is it's a continuation of a story. Just like Fallout 3, you didn't need to play Fallouts 1 and 2. This is the third game in that world. You don't need the backstory. You do meet recurring characters. The one you may have just come across, what's his name? Farron Brigus. Because it's a... No,
I kind of got that.
That's it. Because Brian
Yeah,
Fargo is the guy who created Wasteland. In each game,
right.
there's this arsehole called Farron Brygo, who in this case I ended up killing him because it was entertaining. And it's fine to do that.
Yeah, I've got a character in my party who just has she's a woman and she's just got a knuckle duster and smokes fags. And she just basically just charges in and fucking beats people
I like
up.
it.
Yeah, it's just like, I was just like, I don't really know what to have in my party. I was like, yeah, she sounds like a laugh. And I've got another guy who's got a flamethrower and does robots. I try and keep like the sort of NPC ones you come across. I try and keep their skills fairly like just a small selection.
Yeah, you want a well-balanced party. But yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah.
If you like an RPG and you don't have a complete lack of sense of humour, it's probably worth a crack. I loved it. I need to get back to it. I just made a mistake.
Yeah, I found it like a little bit long-winded with some of the dialogue and stuff you have to click through unless you just read it.
You don't really like reading, do you, Rob?
No, it's just a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah, this whole conversation thing, it gets a bit uncomfortable, doesn't it?
I do like that bit of games. I've just grown very impatient, I guess, in my old age. Yeah, no, it's a great game. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to play more.
Yeah, I'm going to start again. I'm going to spike that
So
difficulty and I know how to craft my team. Sorry?
I take it it's on
PC,
both, isn't it? PC, I think.
It's on everything.
Yeah, it's available. Again, this is Microsoft. They might own the publisher, but it's available on PlayStation. It's multi-platform.
Okay.
Microsoft are not being the arseholes Sony would if the tables were turned.
That's true. Okay, then. So that's Wasteland 3, and that's out now, especially on Game Pass. Such a bargain.
Just do it.
Marcus, you've been playing Fall Guys, right?
Oh, and me.
Oh, yeah, me and Will. Not together.
What a silly
not
game.
yet. It's
Both
fun.
of you.
It's basically squishy indie Takeshi's Castle, the game.
Nailed it.
It's,
Takeshi's Castle, Total Wipeout if you haven't watched
Yeah,
Takeshi's
all
Castle,
of it.
it's that sort of thing.
Yeah. I think it's Takeshi's Castle because of the sheer numbers.
And the stupidity.
Yes.
Yes.
It's basically you have to go from point A to point B in an assault course, and a certain number of people qualify then to get on to the next course. And you have to beat everyone else to be in that number. I think it's like 45 out of, 80, 60 people? Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you don't make it, you're disqualified. You can either watch if your friends have joined in,
screw that.
or you can just quit. But you can join in with a party. So I can't remember what the max number of people is. You can invite other people to join you.
Oh, okay.
I downloaded it after you reminded me, Will, because I'd seen a couple of clips
it was a PlayStation
online.
Plus game. It's going to go multi-platform, but Sony took a punt on a developer, just like they did with what was that driving football one?
Rocket League.
Rocket League, that did rather well.
Yeah.
Sony went, this is going to be really popular if it gets a big enough audience. You probably won't get a big enough audience if you just launch. How about we give it free to everyone and give you a big chunk of cash? And they went, yeah, sure. So you got people buying the cosmetics.
Is
And they've got
Rocket
this
League
enormous
actually
player base.
cross-play, though?
It just works.
Looks like there's add-ons for it as well. It's Devolver, isn't it, that publishes it?
Yeah.
Oh, of course it is.
I think, it feels like a Devolver game. The sheer amount of times I've gone, no! Where I've been smacked in the head by a rotating hot dog or something.
It's also,
or
it's just
someone
absurd.
dressed as a pigeon has randomly grabbed your legs and stopped you jumping, and
Oh,
you both
don't.
plummet to the lower reaches of this assault course.
I didn't rage quit because I'm not that kind of person, but I got grabbed just as I was meant to jump over an obstacle and knocked out in the penultimate round a couple of days ago. And while I didn't rage quit, I wouldn't dream of doing that. But the moment I was out and the round had finished, my PlayStation got shut down and I went out to the garden and picked up some apples.
You retired to the garden for a contemplative cigarette.
Indeed.
It's quite funny. I remember at the top... Sorry.
No, go.
No, I was going to segue.
Well, to be honest, I downloaded it and I'd forgotten, and I was introduced to it again by Sue saying, do you want to play one of the most frustrating experiences of your life? It's like, oh, kinky. No, Fall Guys. Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's a great game.
It's amazing. Oh, there is a game very similar. I mentioned it briefly when we were talking offline. Among Us. That's
Is
just
that by
come out.
Devolver?
I'm not sure who it's by, but it's like an indie game, and it's kind of like a whodunit.
Have you played it?
You're basically one of 6 astronauts. I think 6 or 8, depending on your group size.
Oh, yeah,
and you have to go around and complete tasks.
It's PC or mobile, isn't it?
Yeah, or 2 of you in the group are basically imposters and have to murder other people and get away with it. So you basically run around. Some of you are completing tasks so that the spaceship carries on through space. 2 of you have to sabotage things and kill people.
I mean, to be fair, that's just how I roll in general.
I know. The cool thing is, when you discover a body, you can alert everyone to a meeting, or anyone can, and then it becomes a discussion board where everyone starts slagging each other off.
Holy shit, that is where I work.
And basically, everyone, you can completely, if you're a master bullshitter, you can basically get someone else voted off the spaceship, and they get ejected into space. And the whole point is to get the 2 imposter people ejected out, and the other people survive and win, and that's how the game wins.
Well, that sounds positively reprehensible, Marcus.
It's done in an amazing way. It looks so...
Have you played it?
I've played it briefly on the mobile, where you just ran with randomers. It's frustratingly fun, but I think it's a minimum 4-player. So if we could get 4 people we knew together and play it, then we could just... It's one of those things. It's basically like an indie version of the Mario Party sort of rage, where friendships are on the line. And
so is this a game that's better done together as a multiplayer, or is it better done like all in your own homes and not able to talk to each other?
To be honest, it can be done over comms. It's done over comms. It works in this sort of situation. Okay. Because the moment you do this, a comm session opens up.
So you can have a bit of a Discord going on and whatever.
Yeah, so I'll be like, Will wasn't doing any of the tasks. He was standing there pretending to be one. And you'd be like, what do you mean? Will was with me.
Don't shit me,
Will
Marcus.
Yeah.
You were watching me work.
Yeah. And then basically you just be like, no, he's a fucking imposter. Chuck him into space.
Okay, I do quite like the sound of this.
It sounds like a great idea.
I
don't know how you logistically make that happen.
Everyone
you
buys
will
a copy
sign
on
up
mobile or PC.
Yeah,
is it cross-play? Is it cross?
And then you just I'm not sure if it's cross over PC or mobile, but they're doing I think they're doing an update to it because there's a couple of bugs. Okay. So there might be a sequel to it coming out or something.
The thing is, it's the sort of thing you can kind of say, look, you put it out on a social group and say, right, I'm getting this. If anyone else is interested in joining me on a Friday night when we can't meet up face to face, here's a silly game we can play for no more than the cost of whatever.
I think.
What's it
with
called?
A couple of friends, some beers, Among Us. A couple of beers, some friends, and just, bring the attitude. Because you have to. It's basically a bit like poker. If you're the guy that's responsible for murdering people and sabotaging the ship, you have to lie your way out of the situation and point fingers and escape.
But it's showing as downloadable within app purchases, and I always...
Yeah, I know. I never bothered with any of it. I don't know what they were, to be honest. I didn't really notice.
Yeah, so it's free to play, though.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather pay £2 for something and just not be bugged to buy shit.
I know. I never noticed one on the phone, but I think there might have been random bits and pieces. But I just gave it a quick go. But I saw a couple of people playing it on YouTube as well, and I kind of got more of a feel from that. So I thought I'd be able to report on that rather than sort of spending loads and loads of time myself on there. But
if you have a quiet... Go on.
Yeah, I just think it's the kind of game that I like to see coming back because it kind of blurs the lines between sort of offline board games. Things like Werewolf, where you have to, one of you is that person in the group, and you have to basically use subterfuge and everything else to carry out your nefarious plans. So it's kind of like a board game, online, offline.
I'd see it as a way, potentially, if you had a Skype chat going on at the same time or whatever, a way to socialise, which might be nice in the current day and age.
I think it works over Discord as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd add it on there because it's interesting that these kind of games are allowed to still propagate and exist with our AAA, my God, my eyes are bleeding
you
because
get a
everything...
breakthrough now and then.
Everything looks like...
That's it. Well, talking of the indie stuff, and a game that I started playing... I've got PlayStation Now and I just happened to start playing it and quite enjoyed it. It was Dead Cells. It's an older game now. But I had enough fun with that on the PlayStation that I just bought it on the Switch so I could play it in bed, because it involved less getting up.
I think I own that,
and it works
but I
well.
Haven't played it yet.
It's a roguelike. Every time you die, you're building the whole idea. You complete enough runs, you build up enough souls, you can buy upgrades, you come back a fraction more powerful every time. And every time you do this run, and you power up slightly till eventually, presumably, you make it to the end. It's rock hard, but it's quite satisfying.
Yeah, we saw that on one of our
EGX game.
Yeah, I think me and you saw that, Rob, on EGX Res, one of the ones you went to when they were demoing it.
Yeah, I think it was on sale on the Nintendo eShop, and I picked it up.
Yeah.
But I haven't cracked into it yet.
I'll be honest, like I say, it's a perfect commuting game and a perfect time killer.
Yeah.
But I can't see you sitting there on your big telly. The thing is, it's these indie games with the pixelated graphics and things, and they're cool and they're great and they're fun, but it's not what you bought the big telly for, is it, Rob? Not really.
Not really, no. Not really.
Unless you get an arcade stick for that old sort of classic feel and a stack of 50p's.
I'll be honest, if they, for the Switch controls, could do some kind of like mini arcade cabinet, but then why would you do that when you've got your massive telly nearby, Rob?
That's right.
You need a new telly now, though, because it doesn't go fast enough for your 120 frames a second.
Oh,
get a new telly, Rob.
I know, it's like a worthless piece of trash, isn't it?
You know what?
Yeah.
I'll come and pick that up. I'll take it off. I'll take it off your hands. You get yourself a new one, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon, yeah. I know, it's obsolete. Yeah, you give me a few quid.
Yeah, it's rubbish, mate.
No, I'll get you a drink, right? I'll give you a drink out of it, mate.
We'll get you some wine.
Thanks.
We might have drunk some of it,
I just need you to take it away.
Yeah.
Just take it away.
I've got half a bottle of Advocar under the sink.
Watch it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. But I have been playing my Switch a bit, so that's the segue. But the other segue I was going to say was that, don't you remember we watched the Devolver thing just a few weeks ago, and you were like, I don't give a fuck about either of those games. We're never going to play those games. And I was in full agreement with you.
Yes.
But between the three of us, we played pretty much everything they've shown.
Well, I wasn't expecting what I must admit, I saw Fall Guys and I thought, that looks kind of fun. But I think I saw that on the Sony conference. I didn't expect them to throw that on Plus and for it to be such a wonderfully silly and free, more importantly, free. Well, not free, but you know what PlayStation Plus isn't free.
Well, I actually ponied up the 15 quid or whatever to buy Carrion because I just fancied the look of it.
That's the one where you're the kind of monstrous blob thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I thought it was one where you got to play as like Sid James and go. But no, Carrion is not. It's not that Carrion. So I was most displeased to find that in Carrion,
Matron. Sorry,
you actually end up. Yeah, so you actually carry on as basically a plague on this earth. You're like a nasty, horrible thing.
Human.
That basically eats things and gets bigger.
Human.
Lockdown human.
It's funny, you do have these strange flashbacks where you do play as a human in between various checkpoints.
The plague on the earth that consumes and grows. Human.
Yeah. Strangely apt for these times, I guess.
Let's crack on.
I've seen this game. It's very much like Dead Cells, isn't it? It's the side-on pixelated.
Not really. You kind of just roam around like you don't like jump or attack.
The art style. The art style of it.
It's pixely, yeah.
Art style is very much like
Dead Cells. It's the pixel side-scrolling sort of.
But it's up down all over the place.
And pain.
In fact, it's kind of difficult to find your bearings sometimes, and also like I've had quite a big gap between sessions, so I've kind of forgotten some of the finessing of the
muscle
controls.
Memory's gone.
But the thing is, basically, what happens is the bigger you are, so far as I can tell, so far in the game, the bigger you are, the
harder you fall. Harder you fall. Come on, it was the only thing you could say there.
It's just that you're like. I think when you're medium sized, you have a claw that will like reach out and impale someone, but when you're big enough, that sort of turns into just this big sort of like thud that just sort of splats things.
So you're basically like the Tetsuo blob from Akira.
Yeah, pretty much. And you get to sort of like, but the environment poses challenges where like you'll have to like get through a space that's so big, and you have to drop some of yourself off. Like you can kind of deposit your biomass in water, and it will stay there, and you can pick it up later once you've accessed a different area and unlocked a way through and stuff.
Back in the days where we were allowed in pools, if you dropped some of your biomass off in the pool, they'd escort you out of the building.
No, to be honest, mate, that's just why they keep the chlorine levels so high.
Yeah, but Carrion doesn't care. Carrion does what it wants, and you can make out a little roar noise to sort of use your echolocation, and you can see everyone going, "Oh, what was that?" And then you run through, and then just like basically rip them all to pieces. Yeah, but they come after you, and they get smarter, and they get gadgets and some crazy tech to try and defeat you. But yeah, so far it's pretty good. Nice little distraction on the Switch.
Awesome sauce.
I've been playing one more game I just wanted to mention, which I'm sort of a bit umming and ahhing about. It's called Observation. It was up for BAFTAs, and it was in the sales on PlayStation Plus, so I thought I'd snap it up. It was about £7.
Is that the one where you're the ship?
You're the ship computer.
Yes, I've heard about it, and it just sounds a bit too intellectual for me.
It's mostly just a series of like sort of obscure mini games, and yeah, honestly, it's about as fun as you might expect being a computer AI. But you do interact with this quite well acted astronaut lady, and you sort of help her out, and do little spacewalks and stuff. And there's definitely something a bit supernatural going on. So yeah, it's all right to spend an hour or so with. I'm finding it a nice little distraction. I'm just liking a few sort of smaller games before the big AAA things start taking over at the moment.
Did you ever play the Turing test or something like that?
I've heard about it. It's
I did play that. Yes,
it's kind of like a weird puzzle game where you basically you're playing as someone. You're not sure if they're human or whatever, and you go through a whole series of tests.
You're basically trying to if you were a computer, you wouldn't be able to work this stuff out.
Yeah, but you're trying to find the crew. Yeah, I got bored.
Yeah, I didn't finish.
But you got a sense that there was some sort of backstory going on and stuff as it went on. You kind of realise very quickly this computer that you're listening to and trying to help it find the crew because it wants to, in quote, help them. You realise as a player that this computer is not going to help them. This computer's after John Connor, and you're guiding it straight to him.
I like that. You see, I didn't get far enough in. I got to one puzzle and I couldn't work it out, and I couldn't be bothered.
I kept playing it for about a year, on and off. I kept coming back to it.
I played it for a day.
Yeah. But yeah, I get the feeling it's kind of like a similar thing where you go through a series of levels, completing puzzles and stuff, and through communications and stuff, you find out a backstory in the background rather than it being a story-driven narrative.
This is story-driven. It's just that the gameplay is kind of looking around. I mean, there was one example where it said you've got to gain access to a laptop, and on the laptop it had written down graduation, and you move around the cameras and there's a picture of his graduation, and you're allowed to kind of log that, and then
you get the date of the graduation or something.
The date of the graduation is the password, yeah. So it's that sort of thing. But some of them are a bit obscure, and I had to look a few up because it was just like a little bit fucking weird, and I just get annoyed.
When you get to the point where you have to go on the Tinterweb, the thing is, if you can go on the Tinterweb and you can find a site that will give you hints rather than answers, that's the one you want. It's just like, hint one. Maybe consider the West Wall. Okay, right. Yeah, still can't get it. Have a look at the picture of the graduation. Use the date of the graduation. 010912. Put that into the computer box.
Some games had that built in. I think like some of the Monkey Island stuff, like they tried doing that.
Well, certainly the generation of Monkey Island I did. But you look at things like the Uncharted games, they'd kind of, you wander around long enough, it kind of goes, maybe I need to do this with the mechanisms. But not in such a cool voice.
Yeah. Oh well, on that bombshell, I think we've covered everything.
I'm spent.
Thanks for listening to the Not Playing Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Watching Podcast, where me and Marcus talk about movies and TV, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam, Ash and Will talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet out or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard there, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, stay safe out there.
When I'm inclined to agree, 'cause I suck